Come through the sky, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Zay, collectively known as SoCal Uncensored or
SCU! This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the worst podcast I've ever been on. Word.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a very special Friday edition of Catch, Hook, and Shoot. We've been off for a couple of weeks, but we are back, and today's show is all about the Warrior Wrestling Stadium Series, which is starting tomorrow, Saturday, June the 5th. And we've got two very, very special interviews on this show. One with the Warrior Wrestling CEO Steve Tortorello, breaking down the entire card, going over every match, all the participants, with some special reveals of some upcoming talent, which you guys might have seen on social media already. If you haven't, well, you're in for a surprise here, where Steve lets us know some of the big names coming in for the July 17th Stadium Series show, and a second interview with independent wrestling ring announcer, commentator, backstage interviewer, and as I said in the interview with her, all-around badass chick, Val Capone. It was an awesome to finally get an opportunity to sit down and talk to Val, because obviously we see each other at Warrior all the time, and I said all this in the interview, but I'm saying it again. We see each other at Warrior all the time, but she's running around doing her thing, I'm doing my thing, and we never get a chance to actually stop and talk. So it was great to actually get a chance to just sit down and BS with Val Capone for a while. She has some awesome stories between wrestling and roller derby and working at Wrigley Field here in Chicago with the Chicago Cubs. And yeah, we had an awesome conversation with Val. So that is going to be coming up here in just a little bit. But first, I'm going to cut to the interview with Steve Tortorello, and you're going to get a complete preview of the entire card of Warrior Wrestling Stadium Series Night 1 coming up tomorrow on June the 5th. So I hope you guys enjoy. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tom with Catch, Hook, and Shoot, and I'm sitting here with the founder, owner, operator, promoter, CEO, Mr. Warrior Wrestling, Steve Tortorello. How you doing today, Steve?
I am great, Tom, and I don't think I will take all of those titles except the title of Mr. Warrior Wrestling, because I know Frank the Clown will fight me for it.
Yeah, I try not to say his name too much. I said this to Val Capone last week when I talked to her. I'm afraid if you say his name too much, he'll show up like Beetlejuice or something.
It's kind of like Beetlejuice or the devil. You don't say his name when you're looking at a mirror. You just avoid it as much as you can.
Yeah, but let's put the clown guy to the side for right now. We're here talking about the Warrior Wrestling Stadium Series. Now, you guys started this last year, and it was 3 shows on 3 consecutive weeks, which was insane. And
Yes, it was.
This year it's still 3 shows, but there you got 1 in June, 1 in July, 1 in August, which is pretty cool. Now, so far we've only got the card for the June show, but it is stacked. I mean, but that's really nothing new for Warrior. I mean, you guys load up the card every single time as much as you can.
Our game plan is always to try to present a card full of matches that could all be the main event. And our marching orders to the talent are go out there and steal the show. You know, we don't believe in an undercard. Every match could steal the show and be the main event. And that's what we try to put together. And we also try to put together shows where it's all different types of matches. So no match is exactly like another match you'll see on the show. So that's what we're going for.
And I think you pulled it off with this one. Now, the first match I want to talk about, you guys are introducing a brand new championship, the Warrior Lucha Championship. And like always at Warrior, this one's being decided in a war of attrition match.
Yes, sir. And this is something where Last year during the pandemic, with the exception of Daga came in for one show and he was living in California at the time, we obviously weren't able to bring in any luchadors from Mexico. And lucha had been a staple. Warrior 1 through 8 each featured at least one, usually two, lucha libre matches, because we believe that that is one of the most exciting and accessible styles of wrestling. So it's been a cornerstone of Warrior since the very beginning. And last year during our pandemic shows, we couldn't have lucha matches. And so Eric and I talked at length, and some of our other team members talked about, we really want to recommit and double down to lucha libre. We want to tell everybody that it's back and it's not going away. And the way to do that is to say, we're going to crown our first ever Warrior Wrestling Lucha champion. And so, as a fan, there will always be lucha on Warrior shows going forward.
Yeah, and when I saw the lineup for this match, I think I tweeted out something like, I'm going to lose my voice during this match, but I'm going to love it, because this is going to be all over the place. I mean, just to go through the people in this match, Aramis, Laredo Kid, Gringo Loco, Black Taurus, Golden Dragon, Ares, Canis Lupus, and Dragon Bane. I mean, just the yeah. I mean, do you have clearance for the airspace for this match?
Actually, so I was having a conversation with somebody about an aircraft about something different, but we should have gotten clearance for this match. And this is one of those matches where if this were indoors, you'd have to blow the roof off the place, and they're going to blow the stars out of the sky. This is going to be non-stop action. And for anybody who is tangentially a wrestling fan, this is the kind of match that you watch that just wins you over, because it's going to be so exciting and so much fun. As a fan, I can't wait to watch this take place.
Yeah, neither can I. I mean, I've seen most of these guys either on TV or at Warrior. There's only a couple of the names I'm not familiar with, and that would be Golden Dragon, Canis Lupus, and Dragon Bane. They're the only ones that I don't think I've ever seen either live or on TV. But the rest of these guys I've seen. And so for anybody that might not be familiar, that's not initiated into the Warrior style of things, what is a war of attrition match?
So a war of attrition is a way to figure out who's going to survive. It begins with 8 competitors, and stage 1 is a 4-on-4 tag team match. The losing team is eliminated. The 4 remaining competitors divide into 2 traditional tag teams. Stage 2 is a tag team match. The losing team is eliminated. The surviving tag team splits off and faces each other one-on-one, and by the very end, the lone survivor is crowned champion. So it's about outlasting and surviving everybody else.
Yeah, and I've been lucky enough to call 2 of these matches previously, for the men's championship and the women's championship. And we ended up in the line of fire in the women's championship match
with Tessa and Taya.
Yes, Tessa and Taya. And I know this one's outside in the stadium, and we're like 20 yards away from the ring, but with these guys in there, we still may not be safe. So
yeah, who knows? Black Taurus can throw somebody past the press box.
Yeah, he is. Black Taurus is crazy. He might be like my favorite luchador right now, just because he is, bigger, stronger than your average luchador, but he can still do all the high flying stuff too.
Yeah, he really is the complete package. And that's the when people see him, they think, all right, well, here's a monster. And then they see him move, whether it's a dive through the ropes or a spinning back fist or hopping or springboarding off the middle rope. And people go, wait a minute, that thing shouldn't move like that. And yet it does.
Yeah, exactly. So this one, this one I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the belt is going to look like, because I've said before, I love the Warrior belts, so I can't wait to see what this one looks like.
Yeah, same. We actually have a very rough idea of what it will look like, but our belt artist is putting some wrinkles on that even we aren't aware of yet, and we were told, trust me. So we said, all right. So we're excited. It's going to be different. It's going to be clearly a Warrior wrestling belt, but different than the men's and women's that already exist. So we're hoping to get it in the days leading up to the match itself. So once we have it, we will share it with the world.
Awesome. All right, so let's move on to another big time match on this one with somebody who might, I don't know, I'm thinking he might have a complaint about not being in this War of Attrition lucha match. Sam Adonis taking on Matt Cardona.
Yeah, and now Sam, as you just alluded to, he has been a lucha staple. In fact, he just debuted for AAA a couple of weeks ago, and he is part of the main event faction La Empresa with AAA. But he's also been a Japanese wrestler. He's done a few tours with All Japan. He's wrestled WWE style. He's been in the WWE system. So Sam really can do anything. And we think that this match with Matt Cardona is really special because you have, from a size and strength and speed and style standpoint, two guys that I think mesh really, really well. And also from a personality standpoint, you have two guys who don't mesh at all. You've got the brash, cocky Sam Adonis, whom if our audience could bring tomatoes, would throw tomatoes at. And then you've got Matt Cardona, who spent the last decade endearing himself to everybody. And whether you followed him as Zack Ryder back in the old days in 2011 and when he pioneered the use of social media, or whether you followed him since on Impact, the one thing that's clear about Matt Cardona is everybody loves him. This guy just is genuine and likable, and you can tell he's a fan and he's a friendly guy. Everyone wants to see him succeed, and everyone wants to see Sam get his head kicked in. So I think it's going to be a really fun affair.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, Sam Adonis has been on pretty much every Warrior show, hasn't he?
Yep. If you count the Stadium Series in September of last year as one event, which we do, we say it's one event over 3 nights. Right. Sam has been at every event. He was not on every night of that series, but he's been at every Warrior event.
Yeah, so he might be one to challenge for that title of Mr. Warrior Wrestling, but we'll get into that later. Now, an interesting twist on this match came up on Twitter not too long ago. Now, is this official? This match is for a vintage WWF Women's Championship foam belt?
That's up to them. I know it is one of Cardona's prized possessions, so if he wants to put it on the line, it is up to him. It is not officially sanctioned from Warrior Wrestling, but we'll see what he brings when he shows up on June 5th.
Yeah, because and just to kind of fill people in who don't know the way that came about, Sam Adonis commented on a picture someone had posted of some vintage WWF toy championship belts, the old-fashioned foam ones, and one of them was the women's championship, which had the white backing, and I honestly had never seen it before. I didn't even know they made them. And Adonis commented on it, and Cardona mentioned that he has one and put up a picture of himself with it and said, I'll put it on the line at Warrior.
Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes it's those things that just, snowball into a major issue between a couple of competitors. So we'll see what shakes out. We've got a couple of weeks until June 5th. So maybe they're done snipping at each other. Maybe they're not. Who knows?
Yeah, but that one, I'm really looking forward to that one. That one might be the show stealer for me that I'm looking forward to the most. And another champion you've got on the card, Deonna Purrazzo, the Impact Knockouts champion, is taking on Ray Lynn. Yeah, I mean, this one, now this is not for the Knockouts championship, correct? Because I know you've had Impact titles defended on the show before.
As of now, that is the case. We will be asking Deonna and Impact if that is something that they want to sanction. But as of right now, that is not on the line.
Okay. And now Deonna's been at Warrior shows before, right? Before her WWE run.
Warrior 1.
Yes.
Okay. And so this is a return for her almost 3 years later.
Wow.
Or over 3 years later, actually.
Yeah, and Ray Lynn, she's been on a number of Warrior shows. She, last year she was really kind of a standout. Last year at the Stadium Series, she had some high profile matches. She
had some bangers. One against Kylie Ray, and then one against Ty Conti in Luchasaurus, where she really showed off her Taekwondo, her judo, her skills, her kicks, her strikes, her throws. Ray Lynn is an impressive wrestler, and this is a first time ever match. And if you watch Deonna Purrazzo matches, you know that she is very much focused on strikes and submissions. Yes. So this is going to be almost a little bit of an MMA flavored wrestling match in this first time ever encounter.
Yeah, and that's another thing I got to say about Warrior. The women's matches that you guys put on are always just a home run. I mean, they're fantastic, whether it's Jordan Grace or Tessa Blanchard or Ty Conti or Ray Lynn or whoever it might be. The women's matches you guys put together are just amazing every time.
Thank you. We think very highly of women's wrestling, as we do of lucha. As we said earlier, we think they're a couple of the flavors that make the cornucopia of wrestling great. And from our very first show, we had our semi-main event was Tessa Blanchard and Santana Garrett. It also had Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo. And that you alluded to earlier, the women's war of attrition match. We put together once the 8 best female wrestlers on the planet we could find, and they tore the house down. So we believe in showing the audience all different types of wrestling and in giving all different types of wrestlers opportunities. And we are blessed to have had some of the best women's wrestlers in the world come through our ranks. And I think it's the same is true of this show with Kylie Holiday and Deanna Ray Lynn. I mean, those are going to be 2 excellent matches.
Oh, absolutely. And, since you brought it up, let's go right there. The Warrior Women's Championship, Kylie Ray making her return to wrestling.
Yeah, we are so thrilled for her, not only as a performer, but her as a human.
Yes. Yeah, I've had a couple opportunities to talk to Kylie, and she's just, I've said it a million times and I'll continue to say it. She is the nicest person I have ever met in my life.
Yes, the most genuine human being. And that's why, when she reached out to our team and said, guys, I want to come back, I want to do it, we slow walked it because we wanted to make sure that it was what was best for her health, for her well-being. And she's really excited to do this, and we could not be happier.
Yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait to see her come back. And she's defending the women's championship. Now, it was originally supposed to be Thunder Rosa, but there was some scheduling conflict. So she's defending on June 5th against Holiday.
Correct. So that match with Thunder Rosa will happen in August, whether Kylie is champion or not. So if Kylie loses the title to Holiday, or if she defeats Holiday and loses it in July, Kylie Thunder Rosa will happen in August. It will be for the title if she's still champion.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that one, obviously, but this one, I mean, Holiday is one that I've seen, on TV and live, whether it's in WOW or at Warrior or other independents, whatever it might be. She's a fantastic wrestler. I think her and Kylie are going to match up really well.
Yeah, agreed. They've had, I think, one encounter in the past several years ago, and it was awesome. I sought it out when we put this match together, and I think they're both just better performers now than they were then, and they were great then. Holiday really impressed when she was with us in December of 19 at Warrior 7, and it's just been a waiting game for when was the right match that fit to bring her back. And as many fans know, Holiday and Thunder Rosa are the Twisted Sisters. They've been a tag team for years and years. Yes. So if Rosa won't be here, it's only fitting that it's Holiday that takes her place. We could get, down the line, Holiday versus Rosa.
Yeah, that actually crossed my mind when I saw that Holiday was the one taking Thunder Rosa's place. I'm like, oh, her tag team partner. Well, what if she wins the title and Thunder Rosa still should get her title match? That could make for some interesting stuff down the line.
Exactly. So there's a whole lot of different combinations that could happen coming out of this match.
Yeah. So, okay, next up, this one is just going to be a fight. I'm thinking Warhorse and Jake something.
Can you imagine the forearms that are going to fly during this match?
I'm going to be watching out for teeth flying in this one.
Yeah, these are 2 guys, we like to say Warhorse is 4,000 pounds of heavy metal, and I think Jake something is a mountain of man meat. This is metal meets meat. These are 2 dudes who just are going to sock you in the jaw, but they can also move, and they've also got incredible charisma and connection with the crowd. This is going to be a heavyweight slugfest, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and Warhorse has got to be another one of my favorite independent guys. I've had the chance to interview him at a Warrior show. He was just awesome. His matches are always just a lot of fun to watch. And Jake something, I mean, obviously he's, in Impact, so we see him on TV every week. Like I said, this is just going to be a knockdown, drag out fight with these 2 guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Both of these guys, I think there's some people who know Warhorse from his time on AEW Dynamite, and there's some obviously who know Jake something from Impact, but neither has had on those platforms the ability to really show the world what they can do, and they're going to do it against each other here. Yeah,
and that's another thing of the many things that I love about Warrior. It's like you may see somebody who's not a main event talent on whatever TV show they may be on, you're not seeing their full potential of what they can do, but when they're on Warrior, it's almost like watching a different person sometimes, because it's like, my God, why don't they let them do this on TV?
Yep. Yeah. And that's, frankly, that's a conversation I've had with a lot of talents. I remember having that conversation with Moose last year when Moose had a killer match with Suicide, and Moose wants to be a heavyweight that can move in incredible ways, which he is. And now you're starting to see that a little bit in his run right now. But Moose is impressive, and there's a lot of other talents like that. I mean, we feel the same way about Trey Miguel. I think Trey, and I know Eric as well, feels Trey Miguel is one of the top handful of wrestlers on planet Earth. And he's starting to get that push and that star level from Impact, but the sky is the limit for Trey. And I think he's another one in that boat where people might not see what they can fully do, and when they do, they're blown away.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely want to talk about Trey a little bit more in depth in a minute here, but I want to hit on Casey Navarro and Cole Raddick. Now, this one, I think most independent fans are probably familiar with Casey Navarro. Cole Raddick is one that I'm personally am not familiar with. So I'm really looking forward to this one, because I've said it before. Anytime I see a name I don't recognize on a Warrior card, I immediately know they're good. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there.
Yeah, we scour the earth. We really look for great stars and great competition. So Cole has really gained his name in the last year or so on GCW events and other local events. He's from the Indiana area, and he's kind of the embodiment of an IndyCar kind of guy. He's got an car jacket on. He grew up watching races. He's from Indianapolis, Bloomington area. And Casey Navarro, as you mentioned, has been on AEW Dark, where he's torn it up with Phoenix and with a variety of other people. Him against Top Flight a few months ago was unbelievable. This kid has every tool. So you've got two incredible guys who in a couple of years we're going to be talking about as the future of the business. But right now they're still bubbling underneath. And we want them to be, like you mentioned, we want people to say, I saw that band before they blew up. We want people to say, I saw that star at a Warrior show before they blew up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, somebody who fits into that category would be, just to take us on a little bit of a tangent here, would be Ben Carter.
Yes.
I mean,
look
at what he's doing now with NXT UK. I mean, WWE signed him and they just threw him right in the mix over there. He's not doing like preliminary matches. He's in there with the NXT UK guys that have been there since the start, like Noam Dar and stuff.
Well, I think they recognize what we recognize, which is he's incredible. Yeah. And his match with Brian Cage last September in the Stadium Series, just mind-blowing stuff. I mean, I think everybody knew when that bell rang and that match was over, they had seen the birth of a star. And within a couple of weeks around that match, he tore it up on Dynamite, tore it up on Dark, and then ended up signing with WWE. And this is a guy where everybody went, wow, we need this kid.
Yeah. So, he's definitely, I would consider him, like I said, in that category you're talking about. Like, I saw him at Warrior first. So,
yeah.
And, okay, now this next match, I'm a little bit afraid of. Quite honestly,
I know where you're going.
I seriously hope you guys have reinforced the ring. Beastman and Congo Kong.
Yes. I said earlier, we try to make unique matches. There's no other match like this.
No.
This is King Kong versus Godzilla. This is two Mack trucks colliding on a single lane highway. This is, two monstrous bears fighting over a salmon in a stream. It is going to be I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something.
Yeah, because that's a lot of beef getting in the ring. And when you guys announced Congo Kong, I put out there on Twitter, I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about this, because my last encounter with Congo Kong ended up with his hands around my throat.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, I mean, that one's pretty much guaranteed to be a slugfest. And again, Congo Kong is one he will take to the air every now and then. You see him do a suicide dive once in a while. So
I don't know if we'll see that. And if we do, I think we need the turf reinforced, but this is going to be something that you can't take your eyes off of. I'm excited to see what happens when these two monsters clash.
Yeah, and same thing with Beastman. He's another big guy that can move pretty well. I mean, that one of last year's shows, he did a cannonball on some poor guy in the corner, and honestly, it slips my mind who it was that took that cannonball, but the poor guy just went limp.
Yeah. Well, and there was another great spot. So he was in 3 shows for us last year. He was in the Friday Night Lights. He was in the 6-man scramble where he did that cannonball, and then he faced Rhino at the end.
Yes.
And in the Friday Night Lights show, there was a spot where Beastman was going for a suicide dive, and the pack of the other 8 or 9 wrestlers was out there, and Beastman leapt through the ropes, and everyone fled except for Matt Nix. And Beastman just squished Matt Nix like a bug on a windshield. And in that scramble in the Stadium Series, he won that over Facade when he leapt off the top rope in a flying bonsai drop that crushed Facade. So just like Congo Kong, Beastman sometimes can take to the air, and I'm afraid for if he does.
Yeah, so that one, like I said, that one's could be a little scary, but I'm definitely looking forward to that one too. And then last but not least, we talked about Trey Miguel a little bit earlier. Trey Miguel defending the Warrior Championship against Lee Moriarty. This one is this match is going to be nuts.
Yes, it is. We really, as we said earlier, we try to put together different types of matches, and we try to put together first time ever matches. This is a first time ever match. And each of them, I think, bring a related and complementary skill set to the ring. They're both incredibly quick. They are both very well versed at counters and reversals. Trey has really been working on his submission game the last 10 months or so, which Lee is a master submission artist. He faced the likes of Alex Shelley, Jonathan Gresham. Well, Trey's been training with Alex Shelley, and he's been using that hourglass submission to win matches on Impact. So they're both fast. They can both fly. They can both reverse. They can both submit. And they are both on the cutting edge of being the best wrestler in the United States. And so we are really proud to have this as our title match.
Yeah, and this could be, I'm looking at this almost like the match last year from, I believe it was the first night of the Stadium Series, TJP and Alex Shelley, where it was right after the rain delay, and the ring was wet and slippery, so they kind of had to change up their game a little bit, and they put on a mat wrestling classic.
Yes,
those two guys did, which is not normally what you'd expect from those two. You expect the speed and the high flying stuff, and they kept it completely on the ground, and it was amazing. And I think this match has the same kind of potential.
Agreed. Yeah, I really think that this can be. It can go a lot of different ways because they're good at so many different things. But I definitely see some ground-based work there. I see some submissions. And the speed of these guys, I shudder to think how quickly you're going to have to make sure you don't blink when they're in the ring together.
Yeah, and I always would make the comment anytime, like when you guys would book the Rascals, it's like that. Those are the ones that that always scared me because they're so hard to keep up with. But I've actually found out the more matches that I call for Warrior, it's like, the high flying speedy stuff is hard to keep up with, but actually the technical ground wrestling is actually harder because there's so much going on with the reversals and wrestling and counter wrestling and chain wrestling and all that. Like calling a Jonathan Gresham match is probably harder than calling a Trey Miguel match. They're pretty close.
Yeah, well, it's that speed factor. And some people think that speed and flying are similar. You can fly in beautiful, majestic moves that are set up and very clear. But if you duck under something in reverse and throw on a hammerlock, it happens like that. Yeah. And that speed is really hard to keep up with. And as a fan, you just kind of enjoy it. It's like watching an action movie. It's just whizzing in front of you, and you're trying to keep up, and you don't even have time to clap.
Yeah, so I've said this about every match. I'm really looking forward to the whole card. I mean, like I said, you guys have always got a completely stacked card from top to bottom. These are all going to be awesome matches. If I had to pick one as like my sleeper that I think is probably going to steal the show, I gotta go with Sam Adonis and Matt Cardona for me.
Ooh. I think that match will have great audience investment because they want Matt to win so much and they will want Sam to lose so badly. I think there will be a lot of people on the edge of their seat for that one.
Yeah, and well, hopefully Sam Adonis stays in the ring this time and doesn't, run away like last year.
Yeah, I think that's going to be off the table. I think we need to make sure we get the match finished.
Yeah. So that pretty much breaks down the whole card. Now, one thing I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up is who's not booked on the show. Yeah. And we said his name earlier. I'm going to take a chance and say it again. Frank the Clown and Ego Anthony. It was a formal announcement was made by Warrior that they are unbooked from June 5th. Now, you do remember what happened last time they weren't booked on a Warrior show. It ended with Joey Janela doing a dive off of a goalpost.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm pretty happy with how that all wound up because it means we haven't had Ego or Frank with us for the last 10 months after they've been recovering. We will have measures in place in case they decide they want to pay us a visit, but they are not welcome. So we'll see how they react to that.
Now, see, Eric posted, they're welcome to buy tickets and still come.
True. Yeah. If they would like to shill out their $30 for a bleacher seat or $45 for a field seat, by all means, please bring a pizza, bring a picnic blanket. But you're not going to be backstage and you're not going to be anywhere near the ring, and especially not anywhere near a microphone.
Okay, well, I can guarantee you they won't get anywhere near my mics. That's for sure. I can't speak for Bocchini and Houseman, but
well, thank you. I appreciate that. The airwaves are safe.
And maybe you should put a little extra security around Kirby so they don't get the house mic.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, but okay, well, hopefully Frank and Ego don't decide to rear their heads and spoil anyone's evening. But and of course, as usual, you guys have the fan fest going on before the Warrior show. Let everybody know how that works in case they haven't been to one.
Yeah, if you've never been to a Warrior show before, when we started at the very beginning, one of the things we wanted to do was cultivate an atmosphere of a festival. This should be a festival celebrating wrestling. So before every show, we have a 90-minute fan fest where all of the wrestlers are there, all of the podcasts are set up, vendors are there, there's sometimes fun games and things going on. And if you buy the Fan Fest ticket, you get to meet every wrestler, get an autograph on something you bring or buy, and take a picture on your own phone with every single wrestler. It's included in your VIP Fan Fest ticket. Sometimes people hunt down wrestlers at an intermission or after the show, try to buy an autograph or a picture. It's all in that ticket. So if you buy the Fan Fest ticket, you get every single person, Cardona, Trey Miguel, Kylie Ray, all of them. And this year we're doing something where, similar to what we did in September, we're doing what we call the season pass. If you buy the season pass, you get a VIP Fan Fest ticket, a field seat to all 3 shows, plus a free Warrior Wrestling mask, 4 free posters, free parking, and you can bring more kids for free. So that is, if you think you might want to meet the people on this show and the people on the upcoming shows when we announce them, then we highly recommend you look into the season pass.
Yeah, definitely. And for the price, you can't beat it. I mean, all the autographs and pictures and all that stuff you can get, plus the show itself, plus the kids are free. It really is. It's a steal for 3 shows. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and if you plan on coming, you're going to save $150 versus what you'd pay just to get the stuff. So it's a no-brainer. You save $150. It would cost you $450 to do all that. You get it for $300, and that's your whole summer of wrestling entertainment. And when people see the names that are coming in July and August, they will believe that is going to be a huge and solid investment. Well,
see now you've got me curious, because you're saying that it's going to be over and above what's on June. Now we already know a couple of the names that, like I said, there was some scheduling issues. So Brian Cage and Brian Pillman Jr. had to reschedule. They're coming in July, correct?
That's correct.
And then Thunder Rosa will be on the August show.
That's correct.
But those are the only names you've announced for those 2 shows so far.
Correct. So there might be a little bit more that leaks in the next week or so. In fact, you know what, heck, I'll throw a few out there right now. If anybody is out there thinking about, gosh, should I buy the season pass? Should I come in July? I can tell you that in July, Jeff Cobb returns to Warrior Wrestling.
Wow.
In July, Lance Archer returns to Warrior Wrestling. In July, the American Wolf, Davey Richards, makes his Warrior Wrestling debut.
No way. You guys got Davey Richards.
We sure did. We've been talking to Davey for a while, and he's making his return to wrestling this summer. And it was important to us and to him that one of the places he returned would be Warrior Wrestling. So we're very excited about that.
Wow.
I can share there will be some more debuts of up-and-comers that you don't want to miss, like Calvin Tankman and Braden Lee. I can also now share, as of today, officially, that former WWE Cruiserweight Champion and GCW star Leo Rush makes his Warrior Wrestling debut in July. So there are some more things in the works as well. So I can tell you it is going to be a really exciting show. So if anybody's on the bubble, trust us, get the season pass for June and July. And I haven't even said anything about August yet.
Okay, well, yeah, you just gave me a whole lot to work with, which I appreciate. Last year you gave me the scoop on Mike Bennett and Cheeseburger, and now you're giving me some more scoops here. So if you don't mind, I'm going to post this little snippet on social media
Absolutely.
within the next 24 hours. But yeah, one thing though, if you're bringing Lance Archer back, somebody keep an eye on that poor little blonde kid that always gets kicked across the field when he makes his entrance.
You know, you can't contain a locomotive run amok like Lance Archer. You just got to get out of his way, and that's up that to each their own. Everyone enters that stadium at their own risk.
Yeah, because it's always the same guy. Because everybody knows when Archer enters an arena, somebody's getting clotheslined or booted in the face, and it's always the same poor guy.
Well, that guy's got to get out of the way.
Yeah. But yeah, wow. So yeah, July. It sounds like it's going to be a hell of a show. I can't wait to see what the matchups are going to be.
Yeah,
so,
it's going to be incredible. You know, there will be some stuff based on who wins the matches in June that will determine what's going to happen in July. But there's a couple of matches that we will announce probably the day after the June show that are already set in stone, and the ones that we have so far are pretty darn cool.
Awesome. I cannot wait to hear that. But yeah, Jeff Cobb, Lance Archer, Calvin Tankman's one that I'm dying to see in person. I've seen him on MLW, and the guy is he's a beast.
Yes. Yeah, we're really excited for that.
But yeah, wow, just Davey Richards, that blows me away because he's been out of wrestling for a while because he was, pursuing other stuff.
He went and he had been an EMT for years and years. He went and got himself a medical degree.
Yeah.
And so 2017 was the last time Davey Richards stepped foot in a professional wrestling ring until summer of 2021. And he's coming to Warrior Wrestling.
I cannot wait to see that because the Wolves were one of my all-time favorite tag teams. And I was heartbroken when they broke up because I absolutely love the American Wolves. So I can't wait to see. I'd never seen Davey Richards live. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it is. Seeing Davey Richards live is a spectacle. You can flash backwards a decade or 11 years to a much younger and more in shape Steve and Eric and their buddies sitting at a Ring of Honor show watching Davey and Eddie and just going nuts and geeking out. And now here we are in 2021, and Steve and Eric and their buddies are putting on a wrestling show, and Davey Richards is making his return to come to Warrior Wrestling. So we're pretty damn excited.
Yeah, that is huge. People are going to go nuts for that. So I can't wait to see that. And it just dawned on me. I'm going to get to call a Davey Richards match.
Yes, you will.
Wow. Oh man, is this really my life? I keep asking myself that. me and Val had a conversation all about that last week. Like, is this really our lives? Do we really get to do this kind of stuff? Because it's awesome. Yeah. And we were talking about the Fan Fest. I forgot to mention you guys have a kind of a cool new piece of merch out this year that is going to be at the Fan Fest. What tell everybody what that is.
We have had people asking for years, and we've figured it out with the help of Matt Cardona, the king of wrestling toys and things. We have Warrior Wrestling Foam Championship belts, and they are $25. You can have your own foam title belt from Warrior Wrestling. We've already pre-sold. Gosh, I have to look, probably 50 of them. And we're bringing them to the shows this summer. Get them while you can. They are a limited supply. And so if you want to be a Warrior Wrestling champion, like Trey Miguel, like Kylie Ray, or like whoever will be the first Lucha champion, you want to get your Warrior Wrestling belt at the show. You can pre-order them now on our website, warriorwrestling.net, and pick them up the day of the show, or just buy them the day of the show.
Well, I've already pre-ordered mine, and I mentioned this to you already, but Val Capone has already pre-ordered hers, and we have already declared ourselves Warrior Tag Team Champions. So,
well, so one day, somebody might come for those belts from you when you say things like that.
as long as he's not wearing a clown wig, I'm okay with that. And also want to make mention, available only at the Warrior Wrestling Stadium Series is this cool Warrior Wrestling CHS T-shirt.
Woo-hoo.
Not available anywhere else. Will only be available at the Stadium Series. So if you like Catch, Hook, and Shoot, if you like Warrior, you want to support both brands, grab a shirt. They'll be at the table where myself and Charlie G will be set up to call the matches. We take cash, we take PayPal, we take Cash App. So grab a shirt, grab a belt, and just come out and have some fun because Warrior is always an awesome time.
That's our goal. Nick Hausman when we were announcing some stuff, Nick, our color commentator on the video stream, tweeted, "This is going to be the summer of our lives." And I sure as hell hope it is. It's been one crazy year, and there's nothing we want more than to just celebrate with other people and enjoy some great wrestling. So get off your couch, get off of wherever you are, drive to Chicago Heights, and let's do it. Let's make it a fun festival of wrestling.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome time. It always is. I always have a blast at the Warrior shows, and like I always tell you every time I talk to you, I can't thank you enough for indulging me and allowing me to broadcast these things live on internet radio. It's a blast, and you know, I had no clue what I was getting into when I first pitched the idea to you, because I had never done any type of sports commentary in my life. But it's like, hey, what's it going to hurt to give it a shot? And so it was kind of trial by fire, but it's a blast. I love it, and I love being able to do it at Warrior. It's awesome.
Everything that we have done has also been trial by fire, and that's why we're sympathetic. You know, our attitude has always been, someone comes to us and says, "Hey, I want to try this thing. Would you guys be willing to give me a shot and work with me?" Or, yeah, come on in, let's do it. And that's our attitude, and hopefully that spreads, and hopefully people find their footing and really love the things that they try, because that's what we've done. You know, we found our footing, and we love running wrestling shows.
Yeah, and I have grown to love doing the commentary for them, and you know, doing like radio style commentary is a completely different beast than, you know, video, because it's like I need to actually call all these moves that are going on, so somebody just listening gets an idea of what's going on in the ring. But it's awesome. I love it. So
yeah, when you guys are great at it, and we love that it provides another outlet for people to be able to hear and experience the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, well, just to kind of wrap stuff up, so let everybody know, you know, where they can get tickets, how they can watch, all that kind of stuff.
You got it. Everything's available online at warriorwrestling.net. Tickets, merch, all the information you could possibly need. You can also follow our socials on Instagram and Twitter. We're at Warrior Wrestling, with no vowels in wrestling, WRSTLNG. We've got a Facebook page as well, so give us a follow, give us a like, check out the website, and most importantly, get your tickets and join us on Saturday, June 5th. If you've never been to a Warrior show before, give us a chance. Come on out, have some fun. We promise we'll put on some incredible action.
And I can definitely vouch for that. It is always an incredible time with just some of the best wrestling that you could ever want to see. And of course, you can also watch it on Fight, correct? You guys are still on Fight for pay-per-view?
Fight TV. We will be streaming live if you can't make it out, or you can listen to Tom and hear it play-by-play if you're driving, or if you're somewhere where you don't have access to video, or just prefer to kind of paint that own picture with your mind and listen to Tom call all those moves one by one. And good luck, you know, putting together the lucha match in your mind as you listen.
Yeah,
but
and
beyond that one, I think it'll be a blast.
Yeah, and that of course the audio feed is on the Podbean app, so you download that, look up Catch, Hook, and Shoot, and you're set to go. So yeah, I think that wraps us up. But we talked about it before we started recording here. You are going to be back sometime before the July show to break down that card, and then again in August to break down that card. So we got a couple more conversations coming this summer.
Yes, we do, my friend. I can't wait to see you again for those conversations, and more importantly, to see you in person and celebrate wrestling together. It will have been since last September, since I think we've shared any space together, and we're going to in a few weeks, and I'm excited.
Yeah, my God, yeah, it has been that long. Yeah, I cannot wait to get back out to Warrior. I love the outdoor settings that you guys have been doing the last couple of years, and the way you guys have it set up is just awesome, and it just makes for an even better experience, especially when the weather cooperates.
Yeah, amen. So let's pray for no rain and do whatever rain dance you need to do.
Yeah, there you go. But all right, well, we can wrap this one up for right now. But like I said, you will be back in July to go over the July 17th show. But for right now, thank you again, Steve Tortorello, the owner, operator, CEO of Warrior Wrestling. So yeah, I will see you on June 5th.
Sounds good. Take
All
care.
Right. Thanks a lot, Steve. All right, so that is Steve Tortorello, the owner, operator, CEO of Warrior Wrestling. Yeah, it's going to be an amazing night of matches they're crowning their first ever Warrior Lucha champion with the traditional Warrior Wrestling War of Attrition match, which is going to be insane. Matt Cardona and Sam Adonis, and Kylie Ray making her return to the ring. So it's just going to be an amazing night. That's tomorrow, June 5th. If you don't have your tickets yet, if you're in Chicago, you need to come out to this show. Head to warriorwrestling.net. You can get tickets there. You can watch it on Fight TV, or you can listen to me and Charlie G doing play-by-play live on the Podbean app. Head to catchhookshoot.com/events, and you'll get the link to the Podbean feed, or just go to catchhookshoot.podbean.com, or download the Podbean app, look up Catch Hook and Shoot. Just find it, listen, check it out. You don't want to miss it. Warrior Wrestling, the greatest independent wrestling company on the planet right now, in my opinion. I'm biased, I work there, but hey, it's always a great time. It's always a great show. So right now, I'm going to go to that second interview that I was talking about at the top of the show with Val Capone. If you're not familiar with Val, she is a ring announcer. She is a commentator. She's a backstage interviewer. She is a roller derby veteran. She works, like I said, at Wrigley Field here with the Chicago Cubs. This woman has done so much and has had so many great experiences, and we get to talk about a few of them during the chat that we had a couple of weeks ago. So here is my interview with Val Capone. All right, what's going on, everybody? This is Tom with Catch Hook and Shoot, and I am talking right now live via Zoom with just an all-around badass Val Capone. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you. That's really sweet of you. I don't know about all around badass, but I'll take it.
Oh, come on. You did roller derby. You're a badass, okay?
It just means I have to take notes a lot because I've had a lot of concussions. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a downside to any sport, honestly.
True.
So, well, since I brought that up first, I got to know, because my mom got me into roller derby when I was a kid, around the same time she got me into wrestling. How does that come about? How do you get into roller derby?
Well, it was my whole life in general has just been a series of right time, right place situations. And when I was a kiddo, I spent a lot of time with my maternal grandmother, who's like my mom, my grandma Alice. And she would always take me to the roller rink. So I became obsessed with roller skating. But when I was with my dad in the city of Chicago, we lived above a sports bar. So we'd go downstairs and we watched the Saturday game of the week for hockey, since the Blackhawks weren't really televised back then, if you recall.
Yeah.
Sometimes, the Hawks would be on versus the Red Wings or something. And then afterwards we would watch wrestling. And then after that, super late night when I shouldn't have been awake, but I stayed awake because after wrestling, I would watch wrestling on roller skates, which was roller derby.
Exactly.
So I became obsessed with roller derby as a kid, and every single one of my top teeth are chipped or broken because of me pretending I played roller derby on the streets of Chicago in my little like white high ankle boot Chicago roller skates. And then flash forward, 20-ish years, almost 20 years, and I was going to Austin quite a bit because I worked in independent music at venues in Chicago. So I was going to South by Southwest a lot. And one of the years we saw women playing roller derby, but it was flat track. It wasn't like the old school velodrome bank track that I knew and fell in love with. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then, just the fates had it. I was working security at a bar and bar backing and bartending. And our DJ said, hey, how do you feel about roller derby? And I said, well, I love it. It's like my favorite thing. And they just started it up in Austin, Texas. Man, I wish some girls would start it here in Chicago. And so he said, well, actually, his shoot job was graphic design, and some girls asked him to work with them in Tucson. Tucson got them in touch with some girls in Chicago saying, hey, we need, and I still take this as a compliment to this day, I think. He said, we need a bunch of badass, good-looking broads that know a lot of people to get roller derby started here in Chicago. And so here I am. That was in April of 2004. So I just hit my 17-year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Of being in roller derby. Yeah.
I when I was younger, I kind of had the same thing. It was wrestling and roller derby were like two of my favorite things, but for me, wrestling won that race, obviously. But when I was a kid, like I said, my mom introduced me to it with and this is showing my age here, with like the T-Birds, and the one name I always remember is Ralphie Valadares. So that's how far back I go. But,
and I grew up loving Ann Calvello. She was a lioness. The thing I loved about roller derby, and that I still love about roller derby, is that anybody could do it, any size, any gender, any skill set. You develop that as you go along, right? And so watching women like Joni Weston rivaling Ann Calvello, Joni Weston, like the perfect tall blonde, blah blah blah, very reminiscent of Charlotte. And then Ann Calvello, who is like punk rock before punk rock was punk rock. She would dye her hair with like polka dots and stuff. And she wore green lipstick and she was the heel. And, you know, she was a badass. And so like there would be one jam of the guys and then one jam of the gals. And so I was like, wow, women can play sports. Women can be badass. And I had just learned about women's wrestling not too long before this like revelation of how much I love roller derby, because my dad was the original, he was the LD, the lighting director for the original Slammies. So we were at WrestleMania 2 in Chicago. That's showing my age.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, little Val Font sitting, you know, near the ring going, girls can wrestle? Because Velvet McIntyre and Not So Fabulous Moolah had a match that day. And admittedly, it was probably the weakest match on the card.
Oh,
but
yeah. It was like 90 seconds long or something like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, I think, but it like ignited a fire in me. So between the badass women of roller derby and watching the badass women of WWF at that time, it just told me like, wait, you mean I could be a badass too? And my dad was like, yeah, of course you can, which was so cool because this was in the 80s and it wasn't okay for little girls to be tough. We had to all be princesses and we girls can do anything, right, Barbie? But at the same time, it was more like, but only if you wear a skirt and high heels. And it was cool because roller derby and wrestling wasn't necessarily like that at that time. So, you know.
Yeah, the WWE in the 80s, the women's wrestling, as sparse as it was, they had some actual wrestlers. It wasn't about the divas, you know, quite yet.
Yeah, which I don't hate on the divas. Was it my favorite style of wrestling? Absolutely not. Do I have anything with the glittery buckle? Absolutely not. Like the butterfly looked like a bad State Fair tattoo. But I also love and respect those women. Because of those women, we got to where we are today. So
yeah, absolutely.
I can't have a Charlotte Flair as my future ex-wife without like the divas. You know what I mean? So yeah.
All right. So in addition to the roller derby and all of that, I'm sure craziness, I'm sure most people who know you and as people will find out, you are also, I would have to say, probably one of the top announcers on the independent wrestling scene right now.
I don't know if I would say that, but
well, I would. I mean, you're all over the place. Come on now. Okay, yeah, I'm biased because we both work at Warrior, but hey, you know, I follow you on social media. You were in Tampa for Mania weekend, and you do.
I was actually. It's so funny. I needed, because it was like kind of a gray day today, and I had a day off, so I needed something to get me like motivated and going. And I knew that we were going to do this, and I wanted to be in the right mindset. So I put on my Real Hot Girl shirt because I got to ring announce at the Collective Remix 2021. And so I got to be the voice that you heard representing the badass women that were doing real hot girl shit. So
nice. So how did that part come about? How did you end up getting involved in pro wrestling?
Well, it kind of, again, roller derby, wrestling, all the right place, the right time. And it all kind of intersects, you know, because it's athletic theater. Although admittedly, the only thing that's a work about roller derby is the names on the back of our jerseys. That's about it. Everything else is totally shoot fight. Nothing is, no gimmicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that being said, a very good friend of mine who still works in wrestling today, he works with AAW out of Chicago, Dr. Keith.
Okay.
I knew him from back in my like punk rock days when I was a teenager, and I was like the only girl in the pit at all the shows, you know. And he and I would always watch all the WWF pay-per-views together, like with my boyfriend at the time and, you know, other people, his Keith Lipinski's roommate, you know, things like that. So we would like all chip in and buy the $49.99 pay-per-view and get like pizza and just like hang out and like mark out, you know, watching wrestling together. And like we saw ECW live together a couple times, like once in Milwaukee, once in Villa Park, I want to say.
Oh, nice. Yeah. At the Odeum. Yeah. ECW is from the Odeum.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I saw New Jack go through 5 tables and break his leg in like 5 places in Milwaukee, I want to say. And his leg was like a Z. Ugh, it was terrifying, but it was also awesome. But so Keith and I kept in touch more or less. We just kept like running in the same circles. And we needed an MC for a roller derby benefit for one of our teammates that had cancer. And he was like, well, I'm working with a wrestling promotion that's just getting started. I could play the Michael Buffer role, if you will. And I was like, sure. So Dr. Keith was the MC at one of our first fundraisers to help one of our Derby sisters. So flash forward to 2000, I want to say it was 2015, I believe. 2015, I believe. Perhaps 2016. I know I had a botched up ankle, so I got to think about my roller derby injuries. But he called me and he said, hey, are you coming to the show tomorrow? And I said, yeah, of course. I'll be there as soon as I'm done working at Wrigley Field. And he goes, can you be here before doors? And I said, well, you're at 151 Bourbon Street or Bourbon Street for AEW. I was like, I don't know that I could be there before doors because I'm a beer vendor at Wrigley. That's like my full-time gig when we're not amidst a pandemic. Yeah. And so he said, can you make it? I said, I'll try. Why? And he said, well, Jimmy D had a family emergency, so we need a ring announcer. And I couldn't think of any dude for the job better than you. And I was like, I am the dude for the job. Let's do this. So I threw a dress in my car, did my makeup. Definitely not while I was driving. Absolutely not while I was driving. That would
be dangerous.
Yeah, no, and I'm very safe at all times.
Nobody in Chicago would do that.
Never. But so like threw a dress in the car, did the makeup not in the car, and got there just in the nick of time, had my note cards. I was like, what am I doing? I've never done this before. But he knows that I love wrestling. He knows that I live and breathe wrestling, and that I was also a skater, but also a commentator and a coach in roller derby. So he figured my skills could translate. Thankfully, he seemed to be kind of right. So it was Defining Moment. That was the name of the show. And it was like so appropriately named for me because it like changed my life quite literally. It was my first match that I had to call. It was X'd out due to injury. And it was Ray Oris versus Prince Mustafa Ali.
Oh, wow.
And Ali's face bounced off the barricade.
Oh,
like, straight up split right here. And I just remember looking at him on the ground right by me. And I was like, holy shnikes, this is not a work. That's for real. Because both his eyes were opposite directions. Mm-hmm. And he like came to kind of, but he definitely looked dazed. And I just looked at the ref looking, as a ring announcer is supposed to, because I was ringing the bell, I was timing the matches, and I was calling the matches. So I looked to the official in the ring, and he's throwing that X feverishly. So I said, okay, that's a sign. Bam, bam, bam. Rang the bell. And then Ali was the sweetest, kindest person on the planet, because he came up to me and he like profusely apologized for having to have the match called due to injury. And I said, well, but you got a severe concussion and, your face was bleeding. Why are you apologizing? And he said, well, it was your first match and it's your first time ring announcing. And I feel like I put a damper on it. What a guy, right?
Yeah, really.
So it totally happened by accident. And then, I said, hey, if you ever need me again, let me know. And then the Wrestle Gods decided a year, I think, later, unfortunately, Kirby, who is one of our Warrior brothers, unfortunately, he was very under the weather and he was in the hospital. So Two Juice Andy Long, referee, Chicago referee, he reached out to me and he said, hey, Kirby's sick. Would you be willing to ring announce? Because he had worked with AAW, so he had heard me do the call, and he said, we have a show at Beta Brow. Would you like to do it? And I was like, oh, absolutely. I don't know if I could fill Kirby's shoes, but I'll try. And then Matt Nix was on the card that night, and I said, hey, who's ring announcing for you tomorrow night? And he goes, well, I was going to ask if you would like to. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, you've been doing a great job. You want to do the show tomorrow? I was like, yes. So then a few months go by and Kirby's recovering and I was filling in for him as best I could. And then Kirby thankfully got better. And so Matt Nix approached me one day and he said, hey, Kirby's our guy, but I want you to be our guy too in some way. So what if I created a job for you? And I said, well, what's that? And he said, I would like for you to be the backstage correspondent for Freelance Wrestling. And I mean, I know you can probably imagine that I was just like, what? Because freelance means a lot to me. Like Freelance's home is not just a tagline. It's not just a hashtag. It's true. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to be a part of. And so he created a job for me because, you know, they didn't have a person doing interviews or cutting promos with the talent. So he said, you love wrestling. We love you. Let's do this. And I was like, all right. Which then in turn led to Principal Steve being at one of the shows saying, hey, as long as we can get Matt Nick's blessing, would you like to join the Warrior Wrestling family and kind of do the backstage role there? Because you're really good at it. We know you love wrestling, Val Fonz. We want you to be a part of this. And so I want to say Warrior 2 was the first time that I went to the Warrior. Yeah, because I filled in for Kirby when he did Warrior 1. I think Warrior 2 was the first time I went as a fan just to check it out and, you know, get the vibe and make sure it was the right promotion for me to be a part of.
Right.
And absolutely fell in love with everything and everyone there. So now I'm one of the voices of Warrior. And the commentary thing happened completely by accident because of this whole global situation that we're all dealing with. Rich was unable to attend the Friday Night Lights show, which was the first show back to, you know, for Warrior.
Yeah, the first one they did last summer in the football stadium.
Correct. And I'm kind of a jock douchebag. I don't know if you know that about me. I have a Cubs and a Bears tattoo, and I'm a huge Hawks fan, huge Bulls fan, and I'm even a fan of the White Sox. I'm not a White Sox fan, but I'm a fan of the White Sox, if that makes any sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, Chicago over everyone all day, forever, by the way.
Yeah.
But so Rich wasn't able to make it because he lives in Florida. And at the time, Florida was a pretty intense hotspot. So travel in and out was very limited. He texted me and said, hey, you might need to be on the call tomorrow. And I legitimately laughed. I thought he was joking. And he goes, no, it would be you and Houseman. And I was like, me and Nick Houseman doing commentary? And he said, yeah, I mean, it might not happen if I can get out of Florida, if it all works out, but just be ready. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought he was kind of pulling my leg. And then I got to work early because I was going to do backstage work. But Steve also has me do ring announcing in addition to Kirby's.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve was like, hey, so today we're going to do things a little different if you're okay with it. And I said, oh my God, is he going to ask me? And I was so like anxious because I didn't know if I could hack it. I was like, okay, what's up, Principal Steve? And he goes, I know that you really love doing the backstage interviews. I know you really love introducing the women's matches as a ring announcer. And we would really love to see you as a commentator today. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. Him and Eric said that to me, and I thought I was going to start crying. And I did make sure to wear waterproof mascara because I had a feeling that maybe something like that would happen. And so Nick and I got to do the return to wrestling for Chicagoland, and it was amazing. And it totally happened by accident. And with the support of Rich from home, Rich was watching along and kind of producing from home. So cool. And so now I used to be a skater, commentator, and a coach triple threat for roller derby. And now I'm a backstage correspondent, ring announcer, and commentator in wrestling. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is freaking awesome. I mean, was Friday Night Lights like your first commentary gig? Was that just complete trial by fire?
Yeah. I mean, so here's the thing. Rich is a good dude. Never mind, he's like a very good friend of mine, but he's really good at wrestling commentary. I don't know if you know that about him.
Oh, yeah.
And so for him to say, hey, you've done roller derby commentary for over a decade. You already have the skill set. You just need to know how to fine tune it to wrestling. And for him to have that kind of faith in me was like almost overwhelming. You know, it was like, whew, this is a lot of pressure. But I got to partner with Nick Houseman, who he typically is the second to Rich. Like Rich is the lead and Nick does the color. So for Nick to step up so that I would feel comfortable doing color versus play-by-play more so, it was so awesome. And to have that kind of support from both those dudes, and then from Principal Steve and Eric also being like, no, we want to showcase women in wrestling, and that's not just in the ring. That's all the women that make wrestling work. I was just like, oh, I can't believe I'm the luckiest gal alive, you know? Mm-hmm. And Kirby was so great too. He and I spent a lot of time that afternoon just like chatting about, like, he was answering all my questions and like putting any anxiety at ease. Cause I mean, that's a pretty heavy load for my first time ever doing commentary, to be at the return to live wrestling with an audience after almost a year of not having that. So it was pretty excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, cause you know, me and my partner, Charlie, we do radio broadcast, which is just a completely different challenge in and of itself. trying to call wrestling on radio. But you know, I mean, you were all over the place that night.
Yeah.
Because like every time you zoomed past our table, we're like, there goes Val Capone back to the announce desk, or there goes Val to make the ring announcement.
Well, it was so funny because, you know, like I said, Steve started giving me these opportunities so that way I could also ring announce, because he, as I said, wants to showcase the strength of women in wrestling in every possible way. So there's a lot of times where I will be doing backstage correspondent work and I'll have to run to get on the ring mic with Kirby's blessing and support. And then I'll go back and like have to go cut a promo with, you know, Brian Pillman Jr. or whatever. Or like, oh man, I got to cut this piece with, you know, I don't know, Mick Foley, MBD.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so like I'm used to the hectic and the chaos, but man, there is something to be said about like, because ring is at the 50-yard line, you know? So the commentary booth is, I believe, at like the 25 on on one end, and the ring announcing happens by the entrance, which is about the 25 of the other end of the field.
Yeah, so basically you're doing a 50-yard dash all night long.
Yeah, and like trying to not sound like I'm dying as soon as I run to the commentary booth to be like, hey, Nara Conte, you know what I mean? Like, and trying to like not ruin the moment for the fans at home, because like, you know, as a wrestling fan, I don't want to hear somebody that's like, you know what I mean? But then again, I mean, I quite literally am running a 50-yard dash from the commentary table to announcing the winner to back to the table or back to backstage and having to cut a promo with somebody as they just left. So like, I don't even have a second to stop and think. So yeah, but it's been really, really wonderful. And like running past you guys is always such a joy, because I can hear you go, and there goes Val Capone again. And it like gives me that little burst of like, you can do this, that I need. And also I'd never wear heels when I work Warrior, because I don't know
probably a good idea
to run a 50-yard dash in heels or not.
But yeah, no, because I know like one of the first times you messaged me on Twitter, you were like apologizing for running back and forth past our table. I'm like, no, we make you part of our show.
Well, because I feel bad, because as somebody that's worked broadcasting for a decade and a half now in roller derby, you know, if somebody's running past your sight lines, it's pretty like, it can be distracting. You can miss like the minutia of the moment that is essential for the call for the people listening home, especially, you know, for the radio broadcast. Like that is really, really challenging. I worked for a while. I was senior analyst for Derby News Network. It was a website that was wonderful and free. And so therefore it no longer exists anymore because paywalls and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a lot of times where our feed, because it was free, would go down and you couldn't see anything, but you could still hear stuff. So I was always trying to do a hybrid call. So I appreciate how hard your job is, because I would have to do an almost radio call to describe, you know, the black capped knee pads of Val Capone of the Windy City Rollers, you know, in comparison to blah, 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 and doing like the details of the uniforms and the way the referee's head is turning at the right moment. And you have to like describe all those intricacies. So for me to be like running past you when you're doing that, it's kind of rude. So I'm sorry. But I usually try to run behind you guys.
Yeah, I know. I have noticed the last few shows you're running behind us, which we're still calling it as you're running past. So,
well, and also, I mean, I'm not a little lady. I'm a badass athlete. So like, I'm barreling. Like I'm always like, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Like when people see me coming, they like move like a speeding train is coming at them, and they're probably not wrong, because like I don't have wheels on my feet, but I'll still hit you like a Mack truck.
Yeah, I was going to say those, you know, somebody gets in your way, those roller derby skills are going to kick in. Somebody's going to get checked into a wall.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was one of the, I was on the coaching staff. I was an assistant coach for men's USA roller derby at the World Cup in 2014.
Oh, wow.
I'm a gold medal coach. I don't play. I had to train dudes that are like twice my size. So I had to be able to keep up with them. So yeah, don't let the skirt fool you. You can still be a badass in a skirt. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter your gender. It just matters your drive. So.
Yeah, I have to agree with that 100%. But yeah, no, it's always fun just kind of watching you at the Warrior shows, like before, during, and after, because you are literally all over the place.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And I mean, I definitely feel like I'm proud to be a lady, Mark. Like, I don't understand why we're not supposed to love wrestling. Like, just because we work,
I have no idea.
that blows my mind. Like, I get it. I mean, okay, admittedly, I've worked behind the scenes with partners that I've dated that work in wrestling. And so I've had to work high profile events. And I'm not like trying to, big time your name dropping, but like I have had to assist interviewing, not me on camera, but assist with like WWE superstars and legends and the biggest top tier of like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, what? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And 18-year-old me was definitely having a heart attack, but today me was like, no, he's just the person that we have to interview. And so I just have to do my job. That being said, at Warrior, it's a lot of fun because I get to be the pro, but I also get to be the fan. And it's pretty cool because.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I've found the same thing at Warrior because I don't know what ever possessed Steve to let me get involved with Warrior, but I'm so grateful that he did.
Absolutely.
But I mean, if it wasn't for Warrior, I interviewed Mick Foley at a Warrior show. Who gets to do that? Okay, besides you.
Yeah, I know. I got to step all over Frank the Clown at a Warrior show. That part was great.
Don't say his name too much. I'm afraid he's like Beetlejuice. He's gonna show up.
I don't want to conjure him at all. Believe me. I just went to Disney World, and it was like the first time that I went. Well, I went the week of WrestleMania week. Unfortunately, I ran into him, but it was my first full time of just being a Disney dork, Diz Pro, full on Val Fonz at Disney, and nothing to do except for ride roller coasters and be happy and eat Dole Whip, and not a single sight of a single clown anywhere. It was the best vacation ever.
Yeah, I know. I've seen you post a couple of videos where you've bumped into him at Disney, and I've seen your kind of back and forth on social media and at Warrior and stuff like that. I want to tell Steve to book a match. Yeah, I want to see a match. I want to see Val Capone versus Frank the Clown in a loser leaves Disney match. The loser cannot go back to Disney anymore.
Oh, there's no way I'm losing that match because I don't
know.
No, the mouse gives me strength. So, well,
all my money would be on you. No doubt about that one.
Naturally. No, but he would play dirty and he would get like, I don't know, he would clearly get Rob involved, and Rob is total badass. So I'm scared of Robert Ego Anthony. Thankfully, I'm kind of on his good side sometimes. So plus I'm like pretty good friends with Noelle, and I don't want to bum her out. And for some reason, she cares about Frank.
Yeah, I don't get that. I've never understood it.
I'm always like, so she's Paula Abdul and he's MC Scat Cat. Like, I don't know, like opposites attract. Like, I don't know.
I think Frank would be more along like, I don't know, because MC Scat Cat was too cool. Frank the Clown is not that cool.
More like Muttley.
I put Frank in the Kevin Federline category, but I know that was Britney Spears, but still.
Well, I mean, I do love me some Brit, so. But anyway, yeah, Disney was a lot of fun this time around, and it was Frank free, so it's even better.
Well,
but
I'm sure that was a plus.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, getting to work with Warrior Wrestling, it's so awesome because, I mean, Steve and Eric, Principal Steve and his right-hand dude Eric, basically are like the heart and soul of Warrior, but they would never admit that. Mm-hmm. They would never say that they had anything to do with Warrior Magic, which I'm like, duh, it starts from the top, and just like all the people that are involved behind the scenes that people don't even realize make Warrior run, yourself included. I mean, how often do people get to see your face? They just hear your voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much.
I get to be a spaz on mic and on camera, but like, there's so many people, like for example, my camera person, Catherine, she's amazing. And nobody would ever know that she's one of the reasons why there's so much good stuff coming out of Warrior, because she works the magic behind the camera. So, I mean, it's a pretty awesome team that we have at Warrior, and it's such a treat to get to be a part of it. So
yeah, and Steve, I got to agree with you 100%. He is just one of the best people that I know. He is so open to any idea that somebody brings at him, like doing internet radio broadcasts for a wrestling show, or making Warrior t-shirts to sell at the event.
I can't wait to cut the sleeves off of mine.
It's sitting here. It's waiting for you. I got it. I got it all ready for you. But yeah, I mean, I same thing with you. I went to my first Warrior event as a fan, and I'm like, what do I have to do to be a part of this? So I just kind of emailed Steve on a whim, and he's like, yeah, come on out.
It's just like it's surreal because we at Warrior get to live some opportunities that are just crazy. I mean, some of the talent that I can say that I've gotten to ring announce or work with or do commentary for, like I got to call Ty Conti's first indie match. Excuse me? Like that's
I didn't even realize that was her first indie match.
Yeah, that was her first ever indie match when she tagged with Luchasaurus, again,
yeah.
Bay Cray, Raylan, and Chris Bay, and what a match that was! It was so good, and it was Ty's first indie match. Like that's pretty cool. And geez, you know, I don't know, having a special guest official of Molly Holly, getting to announce her was like, I'm sorry, what?
Oh yeah, I got to interview her at that show. That was my first wrestler interview, was Molly Holly.
Oh, NBD, no pressure.
Oh my God, I was shaking in my boots. I was.
I tell you what, she couldn't have been nicer. She was so
God,
chill.
she's the nicest person I've ever met. Between her and Kylie Ray, it's like, God, you two are too nice for this business.
Kylie, the sweetest. She's so cute. I actually sent her. I sent her and Isaiah a picture. I was at Disneyland for the grand reopening because I am currently a temporary California resident. I'm actually doing this interview from Burbank, so that's why it's still nice and light outside, right? Because I'm out here working the vaccination super sites. In addition to working at Wrigley Field, I also staff and manage special events and festivals. So they needed people to run the vac sites. So I don't do anything that's life-saving other than running the traffic crew. People are like, oh, thank you. I'm like, no, I just wave at cars. Hi, congratulations. You know, like go to this lane number 4, lane number 8. You know, that's what we do. It's pretty fun and very rewarding. But that being said, because I'm a Southern California resident for the time being, I was allowed to go to Disneyland for the grand reopening. And one of the first things I did was, of course, go hit up the stores. And there was like this backpack that screamed Kylie Ray.
Oh,
and
God,
I might
can only
buy it
imagine.
for her, actually. I was like, oh my God, her snack pack backpack. It was all like fuzzy and sequins and just cool. And it had mouse ears, and I don't know that she would wear it in the ring, and I wouldn't expect her to wear it to the ring, but might have to pick it up for Kylie.
Oh, you know, if you get that for her, she's going to have it on at one of the Warrior shows.
I know. But it's pretty cool. Like it really, really is a cool backpack.
And I mean, talking about Kylie, when they made that announcement that she was coming back at the Warrior shows this summer, I lost it.
Oh, yeah.
I was so happy to see that she was coming back at Warrior.
I mean, you know, I'm so excited to work with her again as a friend and as somebody that has worked with her. Sorry, there's some chaos going on outside. Apologies for the noise.
Oh, no problem.
You know, as somebody that's worked with her extensively via freelance and Warrior, like it's been so great to hear that she's going to be wrestling again. And I'm not going to lie, you know, I know a lot of people were very sad when they heard that Thunder Rosa couldn't make it due to her TV taping schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But having Thunder Rosa's former tag partner, Holly Dead, like,
Yeah.
Are you I mean, she's been with Warrior and she's been all over the indie scene for a while now, but are you familiar with their tag team, the Twisted Sisters?
Yes.
With a Z? Twisted Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the two of them together are so badass. So I'm really, really excited to see what Holly Dead's going to bring to the table. And she's pretty intimidating as a ring announcer. I'm not going to lie. I'm definitely sure that she's going to steal my soul at some point. But it's okay. She's a really, really solid talent in the ring. And she's just a delight to watch, you know, as a fan. So I'm very excited for that match. That's probably, I think that might be the one that I'm the most excited for, honestly. So, and I think that'll be a really good one too. Yeah, for the June 5th show that they've announced so far. Yeah, that is the one that I am most looking forward to, because I've had a blast calling all of the Kylie Ray matches that I've been able to call. Especially my favorite is probably her match against Madison Rayne, because it was Madison's last independent match. That was such a treat, and that was one of my favorite matches that I've ever gotten to call. So, I mean, that was such a good match. It was so emotional, and it was just like watching the torch being passed. Yes. You know, through their moves in the match, and just knowing the respect from Kylie that was there, but also the respect from Madison that was there for Kylie being like, this is yours now. Like, it was so cool. It was very, very moving, you know, and everything about that night was magical, but like moments from that match, I had to kind of push myself away from the mic and just kind of, because it as a fan of wrestling, but women's wrestling in particular, it was such an honor to get to be a part of that. So.
Oh yeah, that was, you know, I was putting it all over social media. Like, it was exactly what you said. It was an honor to be able to call that match, because Madison Rayne is one of the greats in women's wrestling.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
that being her final independent match, it's like, I got to be a part of this. What is my life?
Dude, I say that all the time. Like, I'll be on mic, or I'll be waiting to interview with somebody, or I'll be like just letting the match breathe and speak for itself without actually saying anything, because I don't need to say anything when they're saying that much in the ring. I'm just like, how did I get here? Like, what is my life? How do I even get to be so lucky, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, Warrior shows are just always a blast. I always say Warrior is, to me, it's the best independent out there. It really is. But so moving on to something else you were talking about, because you touched on the Cubs. You work at Wrigley Field. Obviously, you're a Cubs fan, but you're a fan.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. You're a Cubs fan, but you're a fan of the Sox. Yes, there is a difference. It's a Chicago thing. If you don't live here, you don't know.
Well, it's funny because so many people tell me, oh, you can't. You have to be a fan of one or the other. And I was like, well, I'm a diehard Cubs fan, but I'm a fan of the White Sox. Unless they play each other, I want the White Sox to dominate everybody in the history of all time. But if they're playing each other, I want the boys in blue to win. Yeah. I grew up at Clark and Waveland. The bar that I was talking about initially, early on, when we were talking about my love of wrestling and roller derby, that was called the Wrigleyville Tap, right next door to the Metro. It's now this fake Irish bar called the Full Shilling. And as an Irish Chicagoan, I think it's a fake Irish bar. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I grew up across the street from Wrigley. And again, to date myself, I was part of the protesting of lights as a little girl, and, you know, not understanding why baseball even happened at night, if you can believe that. Like, you know, and we had signs that said, you know, Cubs, but instead of, you know, it said Citizens United by Baseball in the Sunshine. And they were like yellow and orange. And I didn't understand why I couldn't make red and blue, because I wanted to use Cubs colors, but duh, it's colors of the sun, you know?
Right.
And like, no lights at Wrigley was in a lot of establishments and apartment windows, you know, protesting the lights. And so like, I grew up, like, one of the highlights in my entire life was getting to sing the 7th inning stretch alongside Drew Barrymore, because she was on a promotional tour for the movie Whip It. And we had worked together when I had done commentary at the Toronto International Film Festival for the world premiere of Whip It. I got to do the live audio, because like for roller derby, it's different. Our commentary, there's the house call, and then there's the stream call or the video call. And so you have two different sets of commentators. So you have people that are doing the play-by-play in color live for the spectators in the venue. And then you have people that are doing it live for the fans at home. So, I mean, I would do both. And so I got selected to be one of the voices that brought roller derby to the almost 9,000 people that were there for the world premiere. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
But yeah, getting to sing the 7th inning stretch to this day was one of the happiest days of my life, until we won the World Series in Cleveland and I got to be there for it. So.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. I'm a little bit jealous of that one, because I was, I was here watching on my TV crying like a baby. But,
yeah. And like Tall Dad recorded, because, you know, we live in Lakeview or Wrigleyville, depending on how you want to look at it. When I was a kid, it was known as East Lakeview. Now it's called Wrigleyville, but I think that's just so they can charge more for rents. But
probably.
He definitely was filming the neighborhood erupting, because I was in Cleveland and he was so proud of me, and we were both like crying, and it was so cool. I went to every game of the postseason except for the San Francisco ones in 2016, because in addition to working at Wrigley, I'm also a season ticket holder.
Oh, wow.
Because it was always a life goal of mine as a little girl to be a season ticket holder at Wrigley. I mean, it's just, I don't think I should have to explain it, but it's just how you are when you grow up in the shadows of Wrigley. You know, you're like, oh, yeah, season ticket holder. And so I got in because one of my very, very good friends who also works festivals and special events, she had one seat and she asked me if I wanted to split it. And I said, well, no, I'd want to go to games with you. She goes, well, I can't go to every game. So I figured we could split the one ticket. And I said, why don't we just get a pair? And then the ones that we can't use, either Tall Dad will use them or my roller derby teammates or whoever can buy them for face value. So that's what we did. And that's what we've been doing for a while. So whenever the Cubs were really terrible, as you recall, my beer stand would be closed because I have a beer stand at Wrigley. Okay. And they were pretty garbage. Let's think about 2014. They had over 100 losses. 2015, they had over 100 wins. 2016, they went to the World Series and won. That's mind-blowing. That Tony Rizzo dance party is I think the only person in MLB history, and I could be wrong, so please don't quote me on it, but that went from 100 wins, or 100 losses, 100 wins, World Series win. I think he's the only person that has that phenomena attached to his career. But so because, and we really did just sell our tickets for face value. We weren't trying to make a lot of money. That's not why I have them. I have them so that my 7-foot-tall, 73-year-old badass Vietnam veteran father can go to any Cubs game that he wants to and be comfortable in our bleacher seats because he's a giant. So he can stand if he wants, or he can sit like this in the seats in the 200 level that we used to have, So we got the bleacher seats. But yeah, so if you ever want to go to a game, let me know.
I may take you up on that. I have not been to a Cubs game in years. So,
well, admittedly, I opted out for this season. We were allowed to put our tickets to next year.
Oh, okay.
And because of the uncertainty of health status, of income, I just didn't want to deal with it and maybe lose my season tickets that I've worked so hard for.
Yeah.
So since the offer was there, and now people are like, oh, you could sell them for $500 a ticket. That's not how I roll.
Yeah.
Admittedly, games 4 and 5, we did sell for pretty high ticket price, way more than face value, but we sold under market value because we just wanted to make sure that we had good people in our seats, but also made enough money to help pay for the whole next season.
Yeah.
And game 3, we got offered $10,000 a seat.
Oh my God.
I said, nope, my dad is going to the World Series. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. That's definitely, I would make that priority too. So.
And it was excellent because I was working right underneath the center field scoreboard that season. And so my giant ass father, we used to have seats in 202, which is kind of by where I work now. And I was like, sorry, Dad, bleachers are usually I can get him out to the bleachers, but World Series, there's no way. They're so strict. I'm so sorry, Dad. So you're going to have to stand at the back of the section, or maybe the neighbors next to you will be cool and let you sit on the aisle seat because you're a giant. And so I'm sitting there pouring beers, serving, getting all emotional about, game 3, we're losing, whatever. It's no big deal because I'm just so happy to be at the World Series. And all of a sudden I see this giant head over the crowd. And I was like, huh? My dad snuck into the bleachers in the World Series.
Nice.
I was like, are you going to stop the guy that's built like a house? I don't think so.
Yeah. Really, who's going to say anything to somebody that big?
Yeah. And honestly, everybody, all the security knows him because, I grew up in that neighborhood. So a lot of the people that have worked there forever, they know my dad. So, but yeah, that's my Cubs love right there.
Now, I remember, oh God, I don't know how long ago it was. It wasn't super long ago, but I saw a post you had put on social media about Ron Santo that really reading. I was like, oh my God, that's the most awesome thing I've ever read in my life.
So Ron Santo was always one of my favorite Chicago Cubs, even though he retired from playing before I was even born. And actually the reason why I got this logo, and everyone thinks it's because it's the one that looks like Mickey Mouse, but no, it's a secondary logo from 62 to 78, if I'm not mistaken. And I picked it because that was the era that, the 69 Cubs where they almost went all the way, and then the Black Cat ran the third baseline, and then everything crumbled, and then the Miracle Mets ended up winning. And, we actually had a black cat that we rescued when I was a kid, and we named it Cubby. because
Nice.
of we're like trying to break the curse of 69. But like Ron Santo was always my favorite because he played 13 out of 14 years with the Chicago Cubs. And he played that entire time without ever disclosing that he had juvenile diabetes, which is, you know, when he unfortunately passed a few years ago, he had lost both his legs due to his illness.
Mm-hmm.
But he never let it get in the way of him having a good time, of him being a positive source of light, and of him saying, I don't care that I have this illness that's incurable and nobody can see and they don't recognize and they don't believe me because I'm an athlete. I'm just going to be badass me. And if I see 3 pitchers, I'm going to aim for the guy in the middle and hope that I connect. And that's how he played the majority of his career. So for me, as an athlete with a chronic, invisible, incurable illness, it was like, even when I was a kid, I was like, wow, this guy is so cool. He's so cool. Ron Santo's my favorite. Of course, I was like in love with Mark Grace, who wasn't. But Ron Santo was like my hero. So I broke my leg in a game. I have Crohn's disease. That's my chronic, incurable, invisible illness, which has severely affected me, and we could talk about later. But as a crony, you know,
I'm definitely familiar with that. My mother actually has Crohn's.
Yeah, I had 75% of my intestines removed a couple of years ago. So when people say, why don't you wrestle? I'm like, well, I've had most of my guts taken out and I've had at least a dozen concussions that I know of. So I don't think my body really wants me to. So I just talk about wrestling.
Yeah, I'm not thinking you'd be able to get cleared, unfortunately.
Right. So, you know, and for the safety of, you know, somebody that I would be competing against, I wouldn't want to be in the ring full time because I don't think it's fair to them to like, what if, you know, because part of Crohn's is your connective tissue and your joints are really bad. Mm-hmm. So when I've had roller derby injuries, they've been really severe. I recover quickly because I treat my body really well and I eat pretty healthy and organic and I'm plant-based, you know, for 90% of my diet, if not more so. So I treat my body really well. But unfortunately, I broke my leg in a game in, I want to say 2006. Yeah, it was the first game of our second season. We started training in 2004. First season was 2005, 2006. I broke my leg in the first game. And I didn't want to miss work because I had my dream job at Wrigley Field. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get paid to sell old style and Mai Tais and watch baseball. What is my life? Again, I say that to myself all the time. So I quite literally would hobble up to work on my cane with a cast up to my knee. And they try to send me home. They're like, you can't work with a broken leg. And I was like, well, why not? And they're like, well, first off, your toes are exposed. You need to have a walking cast that covers your toes. You have a cast on. You can't possibly work like that. What, you know, do you have a doctor's note? And I go, so what you're saying is I need a doctor's note and a cast that covers my toes. And they said, yeah. I'm like, I'll see you tomorrow. So I showed up with a walking cast over my hard cast. And I had a doctor's note that said, if I can play through the pain, I can work. So I would prop my leg up on an empty keg every day and stand on my left leg and sell Mai Tais and old style at my beer stand. And so because I would be in the upper deck patio that is no more, it's now the Catalina Club, I would take the elevator up, you know, and I had my little cane. And one day I get to the elevator, about to go up to the top, and I hear, hold the elevator. And I was like, Sano. And I don't get too fangirl too often because, like I said, they're all people too. We have to be professional. It's our job, you know, to be around these amazing athletes and entertainers. But I was like, holy shnikes, this is like one of my childhood heroes. So he gets in and he's like, he looks over at me, looks at my plastic collapsible crappy cane, looks at my leg, looks at my cane again, looks at me, and he goes, not bad for a starter model. Meanwhile, he has this gorgeous, like ornate, hand carved, engraved. I don't even know what it was made out. It was made out of heaven. It was so perfect. And so every day he would be like, hey, if you need to ride the elevator up with somebody, you know, I'll make sure to hold it for you. So every day I would go to work and ride the elevator up with Ron Santo. And then eventually I moved down to the mezzanine. I got my own beer stand at 211, 213. And you know, I didn't have a broken leg anymore, so I didn't feel the need to use the elevator because it should just be for people that need the assistance. And so Ronnie had his own like signature golf cart at the ballpark because again, he was missing both legs. He had prosthetics.
Yeah.
So he would get driven up every day by one of my dear friends, Kenny. And Ronnie would stop at my beer stand and talk to me every day and be like, hey, roller derby, no new injuries, right? Roller derby. And he's like, oh, roller derby. You swear I never had a name tag on once, because if I did, it would have had to say roller derby. Because I don't think, you know, he actually knew my name, but he always called me roller derby, not derby, not roller skater, not roller blader, roller derby. So we're doing the 7th inning stretch with Drew Barrymore. And typically whoever does the stretch goes and spends an inning or two in the booth with Pat and Ron on the radio broadcast.
Right.
So Drew was doing that, and we were kind of in a holding pattern, and I was like, holy shnikes, I can't believe I'm about to sing the 7th inning stretch at Wrigley Field. Please don't pee your pants. Please don't pee your pants. You know, and of course my dad is in the bleachers. Like the person I was dating was in the bleachers. My sister was in the bleachers, my brother, my friends, my teammates, like all these people. And it's our turn to sing the stretch. And so Drew comes up to us. We're about to go in the broadcast booth. And out of the radio booth leans Ron Sano. And he was like, hey, roller derby, I'm real proud of you, kiddo. And I was like, and I like kind of started crying, like not crying, but like, oh my gosh, we're about to be on camera and here. And yeah, I was definitely waterworks. And to this date, it was, again, one of the coolest moments of my life. And fun fact, I'm the first beer vendor to ever sing the stretch at Wrigley Field.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, then the second was later that year. It was Rocco who did the Undercover Boss piece.
Oh, okay.
Where he showed Mr. Ricketts that you shouldn't throw out your product just because you don't know how to sell it. He ended up getting to sing the stretch at the end of the season, but I sang it first.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm the first beer vendor to ever sing the stretch at Wrigley Field. Yeah.
Honestly, you have done and experienced some seriously amazing stuff. You really have.
I'm very lucky. I mean, I still like, you know, I don't know. I don't even know how to put it into words. I just feel like I've had a very cool, I don't want to say hashtag blessed or whatever the hell kids say nowadays, but I've had a very interesting ride, let's just say. It's been very cool. And I'm super thankful that I never let my illness get the best of me. There was times where I couldn't function as a human and I was hospitalized for long periods of time. But I think that's why I'm always so happy-go-lucky, because, you know, when you're not eating out of your arm in a hospital bed, everything else is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, people always tell me that my energy is infectious. And I think that positivity that I, like, sweat out kind of, like, filters out into the world and makes really cool stuff happen. I don't know. At least for me, I don't know how to describe it otherwise, because there's no way that one person should be this lucky, because I am so lucky with the life that I've lived and the opportunities that have come up for me. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I gotta say, I've learned quite a bit about you, because this is the first time you and I have really had like an in-depth conversation. I mean, we've said hi and we've chit-chatted here and there at Warrior shows and, you know, social media and that kind of thing, but we've never had an opportunity, because usually when we're in the same place, we're both busy. Well,
I'm usually running 50 yards at a time. So
yeah, yeah, you're running 50 yards back and forth, and I'm glued to a microphone trying to call every single move going on in the ring.
Even when I'm like, hi, like, I'm like, oh no, you're busy. Sorry. You know?
So I'm very glad that you were able to take the time to do this, because I know you are still super busy out there in California, making sure everybody's vaccinated and healthy and everything. So yeah. I can't thank you enough. I seriously appreciate it. I've loved getting this chance to talk to you. And when you're back in the city, I know we're going to see each other at Warrior coming up on June 5th. And I still say with those foam belts, you and I are the Warrior Tag Champions. I
am so into that. You have no idea. Oh my gosh.
I mean, come on, we're both going to have the foam belts. We're going to have matching T-shirts. We're a natural tag team. Come on, Steve.
I think so.
I think Steve needs to recognize, especially since, you know, they came out with a new title this year, and it's a lucha title. It's not a tag title. So,
dude, I'm so stoked about that. Like,
so am I. Honestly, I'm not quite sure if my voice is going to hold up for that match with the 6 guys that are in it.
I know.
But,
Oh
or
my
no.
God.
Oh no, wait, it's War of Attrition. It's 8 guys. Never mind.
Yeah, I was like, it's 8. 8 is great. You know, so I was really lucky. I played roller derby for 15 plus seasons. Like, I retired from skating, but once the pandemic is over, I'll be going back to doing commentary full time for roller derby. But one of the last like major international games I got to play, like, I've been all over the world because of roller derby, but one of the moments that I was like, yes, was playing in Mexico City. And it was like, my birthday is January 2nd. Send me all the Disney gift cards y'all want, please. I will utilize them greatly. But January 6th, we had a game in Mexico City. So it was kind of like my birthday trip too. And so my teammates were like, whatever you want to do, Valfonce, whatever you want to do. Like, we had a game on Saturday, and then Sunday we had like a, not for rankings or anything, just like a goofs and giggles kind of game. And then we did like a training clinic also. And then afterwards they were like, okay, what do you want to do for your birthday? We'll do whatever you want to do for your birthday. And I was like, well, I'm in Mexico City. All I want to do is go to Arena Mexico. And my teammates were like, oh, we're going to go shopping. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Do you guys mind if I ditch out on the birthday party you want to throw for me? Because where they wanted to go shopping was very cool, and I definitely wanted to go. And there was killer restaurants there I wanted to check out. But to me, it's like, would you go to Orlando and not go to Disney World? Would you be in Anaheim and not go to Disneyland? Why would I be within a 10-minute car ride to Arena Mexico and not go? So myself and one of my good friends who lives in Mexico City, Penny, he went, and one of our referees actually went with me, and we had such a good time. I love lucha so much. So I'm so stoked that one of the titles we're going to have at Warrior Wrestling moving forward is a lucha title. So excited.
Yeah, and I get an inkling there's going to be somebody, a Warrior mainstay, who's not real happy about not being in this match, considering they're, known for their time in Mexico, Sam Adonis.
Yeah, I was going to say, but he can't cry about whoa, because he's going to have a match against Matt Cardona. And
that's very true, but I'm almost, it's Sam Adonis. He's going to have something to say about it.
Oh, believe me, I know. And he's going to tell me a lot. I'm going to give you guys a good scoop, I'm sure. So he's definitely going to be very agitated that he's not involved in that war of attrition. It's going to be a war of agitation for Sam Adonis. But that's actually one of the other matches that I'm super stoked about is Matt Cardona, Sam Adonis. I'm like, those two dudes are just going to beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
And we have a front row seat for it. Like, how awesome.
Yeah. And I always, ever since the women's war of attrition match, Charlie and I have learned to kind of really keep our heads on a swivel because, the women's war of attrition match, Tessa Blanchard ended up on our table. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it's like, keep eyes up.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. The whole card's going to be awesome. But yeah, those two matches in particular, the War of Attrition and Adonis and Cardona, are ones that I'm really, really looking forward to.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my calendar right now. I feel like we only have like 2 weeks, right?
Like
2.5 weeks.
No, it's closer to a month. Well, today's the 10th. It's on June 5th, so just under a month.
See, look at me pretend I can do math. Not even close. Yes, you're right. It is the 10th. I don't know what time zone I'm in at the moment. So
the only reason I know it's the 10th is because my son's birthday was yesterday on the 9th. So
happy birthday to him.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I have a 19-year-old kid, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
crazy.
showing my age.
That's almost as long as I've been in roller derby.
Nice.
Yeah, we're old. We're aged like fine wine. But
That's okay. You know what? I'm having a better time now than I did when I was in my 20s, and I'm remembering it all. So.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. Life is way, way better when you just don't care about any of the stuff that weighs you down in your teens and 20s. So I hear a lot of people in wrestling being like, oh, God, I'm almost 30. Oh, God, I'm almost 40. And I'm just like, oh, young Padawan, when will you learn how
I know.
glorious
I've seen
be?
so many wrestlers posting online, oh, I'm going to be 30 in, next year, or I'm going to be this old next month. It's like, and I can't comment on it because I'm not going to be that person, but it's like, really, it's not that bad. You'll be all right.
Well, but here's the thing. Everybody has to come to that realization, and some of us hit it a little bit earlier than others do. And I feel like I was really lucky. This is going to sound weird. I got very sick early on, so I stopped caring about the calendar and started caring more about what I was doing every day rather than what the calendar told me I had to do, etc. And like, I don't know, I grew up on the late great Aaliyah, and she always sang, age ain't nothing but a number. So like, you know, that's how I live. I told everybody it was my Jackie Robinson year, and people were like, what? I was like, if you don't know who Jackie Robinson is and why that's so important, you got a lot more to worry about than your age. But yeah, so I mean, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely know who Jackie Robinson is. My dad actually had his autograph on a baseball, if you can believe that.
Holy shnikes.
Yeah, don't ask me what happened to the baseball. The story makes me cry. So
okay, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
you don't have your waterproof mascara on, right? So
no,
I
don't.
I don't want to make you cry.
No. but yeah, so yeah, like I said, I appreciate you coming on. We definitely got to get like a picture or two at the Warrior show, you know, with especially with the belts.
Well, yeah, with our new tag titles.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I think we need to kind of pressure Steve, you know, to sanction this, make it official. So
yeah, and then at some point, I want to figure out a way how to join you guys on a radio call. At some point, maybe for like a dark match, or
hey, we can do that. I just got to I just got a brand new portable mixer for my remote setup, so I got to figure out how to connect 3 microphones to it, because that Charlie and I have been talking about like wanting to get somebody on like guest commentary or something, so I got to play around with it and figure out how to get 3 mics hooked up to it.
Here I am. I'm your gal pal.
Okay, well,
I'll be your commentary pal.
I know what my project is going to be the next couple of weeks, and figuring out how to set up a 3-man booth or a 3-person booth, excuse me. But
yeah, there you go. No, it's okay. Thank you for being awesome and gender neutral. I appreciate that.
No problem. I do my best.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to let you get back to enjoying your day off. I appreciate you taking all this time with me. I know I said it was only going to be like 20 minutes. I think we've been on for like an hour. So
it's okay. I don't mind. When it's good conversation and good company, it's a good time. So who cares? But thanks for taking the time to let me jabber on about wrestling and roller derby and Ron Santo. I appreciate that. So.
Oh, it was awesome. Like I said, the Ron Santo thing I had to ask you about, because I saw when you posted that online, and I'm like, that is seriously one of the most amazing things I've ever read. So I'm like, I have to hear about this.
Yeah, I have a lot of Ronnie stories, but that's like the one that, you know, his funeral was really hard for me, because I couldn't say that we were friends per se. Like, you know, I didn't have a cell phone number, but we were like buddies. And so seeing him every day at work was really, really hard. And when he retired, they had, you know, when they put up his flag, when they retired his jersey number 10, they, you know, did the hat giveaway. So I have the Ron Santo 10 hat, of course.
Oh, nice.
Of course. And I actually wore that to his funeral. And I took it off when I went inside the church to be respectful, because, you know, I'm not that person. And security came up to me and was like, the Ricketts and Santos would like to see you for a moment. And I was very confused. I was like, what? Oh God, I have all my tattoos are showing. Maybe that's why. Oh man, I have my hat on in church. Oh geez. And like his son and their family and the Ricketts, like, thank you for wearing that hat to, you know, my dad's funeral. It means a lot to me. And I was just like shaking the hands with Ron Santo's family at his funeral.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, overwhelming. But yeah, I have so many Ron Santo stories. We'll talk some other time about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely want to hear those. Yeah.
And I feel like he'd be really proud to hear that I'm doing wrestling commentary now. You know what I mean? He was super stoked about roller derby. I think he'd be pretty stoked. And, you know, hopefully one day I'll inspire somebody the way that he inspired me. So.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that you will, because you just seem like that kind of person. You just have that kind of vibe. Like, I can see somebody just saying, I want to be like her.
I don't know if you want to do that. First off, just carry scissors with you, because I cut all my sleeves off of everything. There you go. Unless they're long, sleeves are wrong. that's words to live by.
See, I go by that rule in the summer, not so much in the cold weather, but I don't have.
You can layer up. You can layer up.
I don't have the guns to show off for that, so.
I used to. I don't anymore, but we'll get there again. Anyway.
But yeah, thank you again, and I will. I'll see you coming up on June the 5th at Warrior.
In a month.
Yes, a little bit less than a month.
All right.
So once again, Val Capone, ring announcer, commentator, roller derby, like I said, all around badass chick. So thank you so much, and I will. I'll be seeing you and talking to you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Anytime. This has been a blast. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
All right, so that is going to wrap things up for this very special Friday edition of Catch, Hook, and Shoot, talking all about Warrior Wrestling. Again, head to warriorwrestling.net, grab your tickets, order it on Fight TV, or download the Podbean app. Listen to me and Charlie G on the call. Warrior, again, my favorite independent, my opinion, one of the greatest independent wrestling companies out there right now. It's going to be an awesome night, and this is just night 1 of their Stadium Series. There's still 2 more coming up. Steve will be coming back on the show in July and in August to talk about the next 2 shows. Like I said, me and Charlie will be there calling the matches. We'll be at the Fan Fest before the show, so come on by, say hi, grab one of those sweet Warrior T-shirts that you saw me wearing in those 2 interviews, and just come out, have some fun, watch some wrestling, and it's going to be an awesome time. So with that, I am going to sign off. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and I hope I see some of you guys out at Warrior tomorrow night. So I will talk to you guys soon.